These are a couple of Arvin 9 transistor AM radios, and these are quite common. You can pick these up on eBay. They're relatively plentiful. I guess there were a lot of them made, and there were a lot of different versions of basically the same thing. The one on the left I found out in the desert at an abandoned house or something, I don't remember, and the one on the right I got at the swap meet. I think it was $1 or $2. You can see the rats have kind of eaten on this one. This was part of that collection where the older gentleman that owned the property told me I could take whatever I wanted out of the abandoned houses. That was a bunch of TVs and stuff. This one actually works, and this one here does not work, so I figured we would go through and analyze this and repair it, see if we could get it going. Okay, we'll take a quick look at the schematic and I'll show you some of what I find interesting on this. First of all, it has an RF amp, so it should be a decent performer. It's got a converter, not a separate oscillator mixer. It's got 2 IF stages. It's got 4 transistors in the audio, and what's kind of interesting about this is the way they have the output amplifier coupled to the speaker. You can see they have an intermediate transformer here that feeds the signal, couples the signal into the transistors, and then from the center point here it comes to one side of the speaker, and then from the other side of the speaker the batteries are center tapped. So it's essentially like running it's kind of like running a positive and negative voltage on the audio output and eliminating the audio output transformer or a coupling capacitor. It's kind of interesting. I wonder what this thing does if the batteries don't discharge at equal rates and you end up with a mismatched balance of voltage here. This radio runs on 4 batteries, 4 C cells. And let's take a look on the inside of the radio there. And let me add that this is Shango 066, and you should be watching this video on the Shango 066 YouTube channel. This is a model 61R58. This one over here is a model 63R58. So we can kind of take a look at that picture there. Take a look at that picture there. Almost identical. Very close. This one here actually uses 6 batteries, or this one over here uses 4 batteries. So a little bit different there. So what we want to do is see if we could get this to work. Now when I got this radio, a lot of these wires were disconnected, so I looked at the SAMs and got those connected. I'm going to assume properly, but we probably need to go over that. So someone had been working on this. So let's get some batteries in it and we'll go from there. Alright, well, talking about mismatched batteries, it had 4 different batteries in it. So we got an Energizer Industrial, a Duracell Pro Cell, a standard Energizer, and a Safeway Select. And this battery's dated 2015, so I guess someone attempted to get this to work not long ago. Alright, so there's our center tap in the back, and there's our positive and negative. So we'll start, let's see. Okay, so when I turn it on, we get some noise. The volume is all the way up, but there's no other activity. Okay, I screwed around with the battery holder, and I got something going here. There's KNX. Okay, the volume control is extremely dirty. So first thing I want to do is I'm curious just to check my voltages here and make sure I got the positive and negative 3 volts. Alright, let's give this thing a little squirt. Come on.
Lower than expected full-year earnings, and its CEO,
Should just let that go for a little bit, just to like make everybody happy. Nope, he doesn't like it.
Call them today at 1-800-GOT-BUGS. That's 1-800.
Kind of, you'll pardon me. That is the seller.
Okay, this is a very interesting symptom, I gotta say. So, hold on. There's a few simple things that can cause, well, the simple thing that can cause this is there is a feedback line, which is the AVC, the automatic volume controller, AGC, it's like automatic gain control. And it basically comes here, and it's the voltage that's developed off the detector. And it comes back here, it's on all radios, tube or transistor. And let the airplane go by. This right here, this 10 microfarad, this is the AVC filter capacitor, and it will cause, because it's basically allowing RF or audio or whatever from here to get back into the front end. So if this capacitor is bad, it will cause this type of problem. Now what I should do is see if I can find this R2 and see if I can clip onto it, because the leads are exposed on the top. If I could find R2 here and clip onto it, then I could jump a capacitor and see if it corrects it without pulling the thing apart. Let me try that. Okay, this right here is the AVC filter capacitor, and this right here is that resistor. It is of course it's standing up, so I'm not sure which side is what, but it's a 33K, and it is this resistor right here. So I got a 22. I got a 22 right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump this, and I don't know if I'm on the right side of the resistor. I'm going to jump it from here.
WeatherTech flow liners slide right into the footwell of the vehicle. There's no assembly required. WeatherTech flow liners are made with American pride, right here in the USA, so you know you're getting the highest quality. This year, give the gift of protection with WeatherTech comments and floor liners, and you won't even have to go to the mall. Find out how you can get WeatherTech protection delivered.
Let me get some clip leads and jump that in there.
Destroyed by a huge tsunami following an offshore earthquake back in 2011. The waves from this tsunami are projected to be as high as 10 feet. Reporter Lucy Kraft says the water could be arriving any time now.
Normally there's about a 30-minute period between the time that they're able to warn people and the time that it actually hits. But they're saying this time that there's not going to be as much of a gap between in the warning time. They're saying that it's going to hit much faster this time. They're asking people just to flee right away.
That's because this quake struck closer to land than the last big one.
It is not quite Lexington or Fort Sumter, but the first shot is fired in California's effort to become an independent nation. It comes from the group Yes California, which says people in the Golden State have several differences with those in the other 49, and Californians would be better off on their own. The group filed a petition with the Attorney General to put the issue before voters in 2018. Yes California Vice President Marcus Ruiz Evans says the movement has gotten a boost from those disgruntled by the presidential outcome, but he's still cautiously optimistic.
It certainly looks good. The growth is there. We have always known that it would be a long journey, and we never said that you just have a vote, you get a lead.
And he says an army of volunteers is ready to start gathering signatures for the ballot measure. Ed Mertz, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Jittery students from around Los Angeles.
You know, I can't even believe what I hear. I mean, I believe it. I know it's real, but it's not fake news, since that's the new slogan. I don't want to go off on a political rant here, but this, you know, since the election, everything's fake news. But California declaring it's not part of the United States and breaking off and going away, that's not fake news. I believe that. And you know what? Sometimes I don't think the other 49 states would really mind if we broke off and went somewhere else. Hey, you know, whatever.
Looking at 100.
A esa alza en que subió el...
I think it's perfectly reasonable for their fellow human beings to look at journalists and go, excuse me, seriously? We're supposed to believe that? Like,
It means the world to those guys.
moneymatters.net or call 800-99.
Today's story, Big Jim and 3 pancakes for 89 cents.
I don't care. Roberto Meléndez en busca de unos...
While you sleep. It's a matter of hours. You...
Okay, that is the that's the variable capacitor touching, and it's I probably bumped it or bent it, or maybe since I got that capacitor. So I need to straighten the leads out, the fins out on the capacitor. That's no big deal.
The first place to stop and the best place to shop is Kohl's Black Friday.
Next person to get
Give $2.50. Well,
Some of his reasons start my shopping early. Then life gets in the way. But 과연 우리 부모님들 입장에서
Great. I get 3 weeks of nonstop shop till you drop and Black Friday and camp outside in a tent to save $25 on some Chinese junk that will last 6 months, and it's a great time of year. This is can't wait. Okay, we need a recap here. Duh. See, I could probably bend this plate up right here. Let's see. Probably bend that plate up and fix that.
Bendita eres entre todas las mujeres.
Exactly.
Nope, I need to look at it with a magnifying glass. All right, here we go.
Being the top dog in town, you would that would force a dang. I'm not
To deal with the electoral.
pension benefit.
I love Bruno Mars. I don't know what color he is, so I can't deport him.
The LA City budget. Well, believe it, money. All's good.
Thanksgiving week.
Free in-home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now. 1-800-900-4116. That's 1-800-900-4116. 1-800-900.
Very first to say these people are nuts. It's ridiculous to question Obama's eligibility to be president of the United States. I do not remember anyone who put Obama in a monkey suit. I don't remember anyone who tried to, quote, do a lynching thing. What you're talking about is there was someone, and it was not even a member of like
All right, so that's a quick fix, and so we know we need to recap it, and that's a little education on what this capacitor does right here, the AVC filter capacitor. Listening to this radio, I know it's the airplane go by. I know it's very difficult in these videos to actually get a real feel, true feel for the sound of a radio, because the mics and the camera there's so much compression in the camera to kind of level and normalize the sound that you can't really tell. But I'll say this radio sounds really good. It has good bass. It has really when you put it on voice, it has really high crisp response at the top, and that is largely because it does not have an audio output transformer or coupling capacitor. It's direct drive, like a high bandwidth stereo amp. So this is a neat radio, and I think when I get it recapped, when I get all of these caps replaced, like that 80 right there, if that 80 is open, the bass response will suffer. So if this 10 right here is open, this coupling cap, the bass response will suffer if that's gone down in value. And the same thing with these caps in that cap right there. If any of these caps are open or reduced in value, the bass response will tend to suffer. So very good radio. One thing that's interesting is the stations seem kind of wide, like the IF is way too wide, but I can recap it and then do an alignment on it and see if we can narrow that down a little bit. Maybe that's just the way it's designed. Okay, I got the thing out. I'm just kind of sitting inside playing around. And of course I screwed the string up, so I had to deal with that. And everyone hates these dial cords, so I think I finally got that back on. Playing with the capacitors, and right there on the right there are two 10 microfarad 16 volt Nichicons that I pulled off of this. I just pulled them off of this board out of some TV I EOL'd, and I'm gonna let you listen to them. So these two leads right here are in series with my PC speaker. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the capacitors in series with the speaker. This is like an ESR tester, but I like this method better because I'm used to it, and once you get used to this, you can hear the difference. And an ESR tester doesn't work really effectively in circuit where this does. So the first thing we'll have a listen to is the 10 microfarad that came out of the set. Okay, this is the 10 microfarad that came out of the set. This is an old Elna. Well, you actually don't hear anything. It's completely wide open. Okay, this is a 10 microfarad Nichicon. This is bypassed. When you hear the bass, that's bypassed. Of course, the song is going to run out. Crap. So we'll go bypass, then 10 microfarads. 10 microfarads, bypassed. So the smaller the capacitor, the less low frequencies it lets through. That's why you usually use around a 2.2 microfarad for a tweeter and say a 8 to 10 microfarad for a mid-range.
Tree. Eric Avanier is a reporter for CBS television affiliate WDEF.
We spoke to a child who was on the bus. He was with his mom walking up. She came to get her child. He was the one who took.
The children were heading home from Woodmore Elementary School. They ranged from kindergarten to 5th grade. There were reports that it took 2 hours to get the last child out of the wreck. Kirk Kelly is the interim school superintendent.
We are so sorry that this happened, and our thoughts and our prayers are going out to everyone who was involved.
He says schools will be open tomorrow to provide support for students, staff, and the community. CBS News Update, I'm Bill Whitney.
And I'm Diane Thompson, along with Mike Simpson. We talked to Deborah Hersman, the president and CEO of the National Safety Council and former chairwoman of the National
A potential disaster for our country. Instead, we will negotiate fair bilateral trade deals that bring jobs and industry back onto American shores. On energy, I will cancel jobs, including shale energy and clean coal.
Transit has the most configurations of
commercial. Ended the video by other videos.
Donald Trump's election loomed large over a U.S. citizenship ceremony in San Antonio, Texas.
That's KNX 1070. You can see the dial's way off. That could be because I screwed with the dial string, or it's just way out of alignment. I don't know if I want to screw with this. Maybe we'll do a quick IF alignment, but I think that's about as far as I want to go with it. You don't really care about the dial string pointer. You really want maximum sensitivity. I can't do that in LA. I got to do that when I'm out in the desert, tune this thing up. So let's do a quick IF on it. It seems like the IF might be a little wide because I can't tune out. I can't center this thing outside of one of the two digital sidebands. You hear the hiss there.
40.
First, though, 6:35. Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 5s. And we have Brian Douglas.
And good afternoon. Let's take a look at these eastbound commutes here. I'm going to start with the 60. The 60 seems like it's unusually heavy now. This is coming out of East LA. You're going to be basically on the brakes out to about, looks like about 7th Avenue. A little bit of a break, and then at Hacienda, heavy again out to the Diamond Bar.
Thing really has a lot of bass. You can tell it's direct drive. Okay, you got 3 IF transformers here. You can hear I'm on 455 here. Not much to this. One very far off. The middle one was a little bit off.
The disease similar to Alzheimer's that robs children of their memories. One local family is making every day count. Pictures of a blue hair suspect who authorities say did thousands of dollars of damage from local landmarks. Be your selfie. We'll show you how a local surgeon can
La presidencia municipal y los portales. La zona
KHJ Los Angeles.
Here's an Immaculate Heart Radio news break. Benicia police report that a 4-year-old boy was killed.
All the top job sites. And now you can. With ZipRecruiter.com.
Hey, Halo Hans, you were dying.
President again who will never say what we'll never do.
So there you go, kind of defended it, but didn't really defend it because you knew how against it. A lot of people are against it, as a matter of fact, because it's torture, and I've talked to many.
I don't know, it sounds like it's overloading or distorting a little bit or something. I don't know, it's hard to tell. But it definitely sounds okay. It just, I don't know, it doesn't sound quite right. And the capacitors are all good now, so good question. I'll have to think about that. So I only hear the distortion on the very, very strong stations.
Well, that's why you drafted him. Will Fuller's the guy who can extend that field. But for a few seconds left, it's too far. I was watching before the game. You watch right there, Nick Novak. He was hitting 60-yarders with ease. Good 5 yards more on
there. It sounds very, very good. But if I go to KNX,
serious money every month by refinancing your mortgage. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is all the way down to 3.5%. APR 3.57%. Call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN to see how far we can lower your mortgage payment.
I think it's just super sensitive and it's overloading. Yeah, it should taper back, but maybe it's got a resistor or something that's a little bit out of value. And the AGC's not cutting back as much as it should. Very interesting.
A school bus crash in Chattanooga this afternoon claimed the lives of at least 6 children and injured more than 20. Fred Fletcher is the police chief.
Only the school bus was involved in the crash, and the bus turned over on its side and struck a tree.
The driver's being questioned. The kids on the bus range from kindergarten to...
Good evening. I'm Brian Ping. Our top local stories at 7:05. The Cal Exit folks filed paperwork with the state attorney general. They want voters to start weighing in. Mayor Eric Garcetti meets with LA high school students. It's not quite Lexington or Fort Sumter, but the first shot is fired in California's effort to become an independent nation.
It comes from the group Yes California, which says people in the Golden State have several differences with those in the other 49, and Californians would be better off on their own. The group filed a petition with the Attorney General to put the issue before voters in 2018. Yes California Vice President Marcus Ruiz Evans says the movement has gotten a boost from those disgruntled by the presidential outcome, but he's still cautiously optimistic.
It certainly looks good. The growth is there. We have always known that it would be a long journey, and we never said that you just have a vote, you get a lead.
And he says an army of volunteers is ready to start gathering signatures for the ballot measure. Ed Mertz, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Addressing fears of deportation from the new Trump administration.
The thing is the people in this state will pass that. They will pass that. They pass everything bad. Okay, I've pretty much confirmed that the distortion in this is overloading. What I did last night is I took and I cranked the capacitor on the antenna trimmer on the tuning capacitor all the way in to detune it, and the distortion went away. So I was out today and I thought I'd grab it and bring it along and really try and overload it. Right there is the KNX 1070 tower. I've done a video on this, and then it's got up on top, it's got, let me try and get this breaking. Right there, it's got a bunch of circularly polarized FM antennas. They can put FM broadcast antennas on top of a radiating AM element. I'm not quite sure how that works, but I guess it does. Anyway, I figured I try and make these videos more interesting than, oh, just let me change the capacitors, and then it kind of works, so it must be fixed right. So I have a feeling, I went and I checked a bunch of resistors in this, and they all are within tolerance. I actually desoldered them and pulled them out. I checked all the ones around the AVC. I have a feeling, and this is just a hunch, it's a transistor, but...
Let's go places. This is Jody Sherman, president of AAA TLC Healthcare. I know how difficult it can be to care for a level.
En parte, si las no me creen, escuche usted, por ejemplo, lo que hasta bromea con los periodistas.
Maybe it's time for you to take a break from your caregiving. Go to the mountains, go to the beach, visit friends, play golf, travel, even if you leave town.
This antenna is actually in a big park, and I've read that there's a huge ground plane grid array of pipes that are buried in the park that are the ground plane for that antenna right there. That's 50 kilowatts, and I'm about, I don't know, 500 feet from it, maybe 1,000 feet. That'll overload your radio.
That's 844-488-TLC.
At Chevy, you don't need to camp out to find your new Chevy. There's only a $4 breaking news and product station, KNX 1070 News Radio. Good morning, I'm Nick Knight. And Mickey Moore coming up. The latest on effort to get California to secede after the Trump election. I'm Andy Purdue, time to talk rants.
So it's the next day, and we're still going on about California seceding. Ah, geez. I'm going to close this video with a really interesting clip that kind of covers that.
Reporting on this story this morning, but he knew the victim. Yeah, well, I didn't know as well. I phoned one time with a...
All right, well, I figured I would, with the signal tracer, I would check through the IF and see if it was distorted through all stages of the IF. So this is going into the IF, and you can hear...
The story is really, it's so close to home here. He was on his way to come meet us at Riverside Airport and fly and train with us this morning. So really tough. Yeah, my pilot's pretty distraught at this point. And
so you can hear that that's quite weak and distorted. So it could. These type of issues are tough to figure out for kind of three reasons. First, you don't know if it's a design flaw in the radio. Two, it could be the converter transistor. Or three, it could be that there's something in the feedback loop not allowing the AGC to cut the gain back appropriately. I don't know. This could have been marketed as a long-distance rural radio, and it was never designed to be used a mile from a 50,000 watt transmitter in 2016. So I don't know. Do I try changing the converter transistor just to see? Or do I play with the bias? Or do I change the detector diode because maybe it's not developing the voltage that this thing needs to actually cut back and reduce its gain? These problems are tough to fix. Okay, this is going to be interesting to show. It's going to be hard. You're just going to have to follow along with me. But I'm going to put the signal tracer right here. So this is the antenna. This is the RF amp right here. And then this is the to the converter. I'm going to put the signal tracer right here. And what you'll hear is you'll hear when I'm on a station you'll hear the volume drop because that's the AGC cutting the gain of this transistor back. Okay, so right now you're going to hear the radio.
Rode home today. Your local BMW center received the best offers on BMW models, like the Arrival's BMW X1.
Okay, that's the radio turned down. Now I'm going to go to that point.
BMW 7 Series. Hurry into your local BMW center now.
Okay, that's from the signal tracer. Now I'm gonna tune off of the station.
Ultimate driving machine. Hurry into a SoCal BMW center today to schedule a test drive of the BMW 7 Series, the most innovative vehicle in its class. Find a BMW center near you at SoCalBMW.com. Explore the transporting power of audio.
I'll let you listen to both now. Let me see if I can do this. That's the signal tracer and the radio.
Mystery, thriller, bestsellers. The Audible app makes it easy to escape with a story anywhere. Shopping, at the gym, making dinner, or on the road. If you've been wanting to make books a bigger part of your life, Audible is the way to do it. Hear it for yourself. Start a 30-day trial.
Now you notice you hear you hear two stations. That's because the RF amp is still picking up primarily KNX, and the radio is filtering that out through the super heterodyne and picking up another station.
90% over traditional hearing aids. Call right now for our exclusive 45-day risk-free trial and get free shipping and a year's worth of free batteries, a $50 value. Call MD Hearing Aid at 1-800-418-8650. That's 1-800-418-8650. Go solar with.
So the AGC is working, obviously, big time, but still something's not handling the signal level. I have a feeling it's the converter transistor. Maybe I should check the DC voltages on the converter. It's possible that a resistor has gone bad, and when the signal gets too high it can't handle it.
Might be 15 degrees outside.
Okay, so are we sick of this thing yet? Alright, I'm going to show the AGC voltage, okay? AVC, AGC, whatever you want to call it. I'll call it AGC because it has a RF amp. So this is the AGC voltage. On this station it's negative 0.3 volts, so the more negative it is, the higher the gain. Remember, this is PNP germanium.
This guy, great engineer. Started talking to us.
So you can see when I'm not on a station, it cranks the gain up.
열차에서 화재가 발생하여 어린이와 여성들을 포함해 약
3-year fixed rate warning, all the way down to 3.5%. APR 3.5. Twitter or Google Plus. The easiest way to access those locations is by simply going to our website at www.famradio.org.
부자라 뜻서
He's a brave man. He's proud of it.
Okay, there's a really weak station. You can see it's opened up pretty wide. Let's go to KNX.
And we'll make your first month's payment. See your Southern California Lexus dealer.
Call 1-800-USA-LEXUS for important lease offer and pricing details. Not all customers will qualify. Offer valid in the Lexus Western area only. January 3rd, 2017.
814 on Southern California's only 24-hour breaking news and traffic station, KNX 1070 News Radio. Good morning, I'm Nick Hilton.
And I'm Vicki Moore. Coming up.
Just wrapping up the end of a dangerous police chase in Santa Fe Springs. This is Frank Moose.
Los padres, ¿verdad? Pongan el ejemplo, lo llenen de amor, de atención.
So you can see that the AGC is working. It's just not tapering. It's not cutting it back enough. Maybe if it cut it back to close to zero, it would, it would be low enough to regulate the strong signal. I don't know. I think it's working right. I'm actually, thinking that it's working right, and maybe it's just a super sensitive radio designed for more rural applications. The converter transistor could be bad. These germaniums, they get weird sometimes, but it's right here. It's underneath the dial string. The whole thing would have to come apart. I don't think it's worth screwing with just because it's distorted when I'm 2 miles away from KNX. So I think I'm going to call it good and leave it. I might change these other capacitors. I tested them. They were good. They weren't open. And these are under that dial cord thing, and I really don't want to screw with that because it's old and it could break and whatever. Okay, I grabbed the other radio and I put batteries in it, which is this one. And this one does not distort or overload nearly as bad as this one. So I figured I'd do a couple checks. The first thing I figured I would check is the output of the detector diode. So as you hit a strong signal, the output of the detector diode goes positive into a positive voltage. And that positive voltage is coupled through resistors to the RF amp, which the bias on the base is a negative voltage. The more negative that voltage, the higher the gain. So as the detector output goes positive, it also brings the base voltage more positive, making it less negative because it does sit at a negative voltage, and cuts it off, reduces the gain. So on this one, the one that's distorting, we have, here's the detector diode. We have 0.532 on the output of the detector. Now on the base of the RF amp on this one, we have negative 0.148. Okay, on this one, the one that's not distorting as well, not distorting as well, not distorting as bad. Same basic circuit, different layout. The circuit design is very similar. On this one, the output of the detector is 0.8, so we have 300 millivolts more coming out of this one, and the bias on the RF amp is negative 0.014. So this one is got 100 millivolts more reduction on the gain of the RF amp than this one. So looking at the basic circuit again, you got your RF amp, your converter, first and second IF amp, and then detector. So when a signal comes in here, basically you end up with a positive DC voltage right here. As that DC voltage increases, it feeds back into the base here and cuts the gain off. It's like a closed loop regulation. So I'm assuming that the clipping in the audio is coming from the converter being overloaded. At least that's what it sounds like, because it sounds clean here and it's clipped and horrible sounding over here. Now it appears the reason for that is there's too much being fed into this from here because this is not being cut off. This is not having its gain reduced. So that leaves the problem basically anywhere from here to here, and pretty much anywhere else, because if this was weak or if this was weak, it would cause less voltage here and less voltage here to cut this off, so this would end up overdriving this into clipping to compensate for lack of gain here or here. It could be the diode, it could be one of the IF transformers, these are the problems that get really, really tough to fix. These loop type problems where if one, because this is a very good performing, these are actually very good performing radios, you know, there's no weakness to them at all. So I think anyone watching this video will understand what I'm saying, hopefully, that it being a loop, if any one part of the loop is not functioning up to design spec, then it can cause the whole thing to go out of whack. And like I said earlier in the video, all radios have this. All radios, FM, AM, whatever, they have a gain regulation type loop. That's why, that's how they work. That's why they don't overload. So I might try changing this diode. I guess the next step I could look at is I could compare the two radios looking at the AC signal coming out of here going into the diode with the scope.
Foreign policy experience, except perhaps the trade missions that she's been on to bring business to her state of South Carolina, which makes this an extraordinarily unusual choice for someone who'll be sitting at the table at the UN Security Council.
But Trump says in a statement that Governor Haley has a track record of bringing people together. She was praised for the way she responded to critical tensions, racial tensions in her state.
Supporters of the president-elect have been flooding Amazon with negative reviews of Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly's new book. Over 100 negative reviews of Kelly's Set Up for More apparently appeared on the site.
Okay, I just want you to hear. See how good it sounds right now with that resistor in there? That resistor has brought that voltage up to the same level that it is on this radio.
For a very tough drive right now as well. The South 405 at Santa Monica Boulevard. We've got a fatal motorcycle crash. We will tell you more about that. Also, your exclusive 5-day weather forecast. Traffic and weather in 2 minutes at 7:43.
Hi, this is Derek Van Deulen, General Manager at Freeway Honda. And our Happy Honda Day sales event gets even better this Thanksgiving weekend. Now through Sunday, we'll be offering bigger discounts, lower payments, and super easy financing. Freeway Honda in the Santa Ana Auto Mall.
Freeway Honda! Ace is a place with the helpful hardware, folks.
I got my Christmas lights out. They're a huge, tangled, non-working mess.
I showed Dominic our LED light sets. They last longer than traditional lights, and they're on a reel, so they're easier to handle.
Ace is a place that knows.
And there's still plenty of gain, so something there's not enough voltage getting back to cut that RF amp off. Okay, continuing on with this thing. First thing I would note is this is my home workbench, well, sort of, and I'm using a 400 watt metal halide lamp, which is so bright it overloads the camera, so you probably see these kind of weird ripples. If I go to something white, you'll definitely see that there. Can't handle it. It's super bright, but it's what my lousy eyes need to see. Anyway, so the theory here that I've come up with is the IF is suffering gain somewhere, so there's not enough amplification in the IF, so it's causing the converter to overload, and I'll show you that right now. You can actually hear it. 54% modulation. I'm on 1360 AM, which is a blank open frequency here right at the moment. And so you can hear right there it starts to clip. So you can hear right there where it starts to clip, and I also compared the detector output of this radio to the other one, and I could only get a maximum of about 600 millivolts out of this one and over a volt out of the other one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the IF transistors. They're easy to get to. One's right here and the other one's right here. I'm going to switch those one at a time, and I'm just going to use a Russian germanium and MP20, I think. That should be about right. So let me do it, and we'll see what happens. And it starts clipping at about 0.45 volts on the detector. Okay, I've changed the IF transistors, and it's hardly any difference, except it's not clipping at point. It's clipping a little higher now. But I'm not getting any more voltage out of the detector. Change the detector, same thing.
I think he's going to do good things for this country, and particularly good things for my community. How do you feel when... All right, gentlemen.
Okay, I changed the converter. And now it seems like it sounds better, but it seems like it stops running. The oscillator stops running at about a megahertz.
It is not okay, Charles Kaiser. I respect you. I enjoy having you on as a wrote to say.
The oscillator just stops right there. Converter transistor is hypercritical. Let me try one of those.
At signing. Come see for yourself at Homburg Jaguar Santa Monica. Based on MSRP 37283. Security deposit waived. 39 months, 7,500.
This is a GT309. This one works, but it's distorted just like the OEM one. So it's not the problem. I'm running out of things to try.
Actually assaulting 2 girls.
I put the 309 in that one, and it sounds a lot better. Check this out. Check out how close my signal generator is in frequency.
Look at this and seeing,
Hear that beat? That's how close it is.
Place. The center of the big storm is expected to This is CBS News.
This is KNX 1070 News Radio. Good evening, I'm Brian. First at 8:03. The supermarket for some last-minute Thanksgiving goodies.
But this LA grocery store is cars circled the parking lot for a stop. This man took it all in stride. Wonderful. He was shopping to feed 10, but wasn't able to find everything he needed at this place, so he was destined for yet another stop.
people want me to rest in that chair in their suspense.
The furnace is beautiful.
This man was getting some things before he headed to Palm Springs for the holiday, but he wasn't sure what would be on the menu because he's not the chef this year.
It's my parents will do some Turkish. They're from Turkey. A group of Turkish people celebrating the American Thanksgiving.
Now he's gearing up for the long drive.
Arvin,
KNX 1070 News Radio.
Operators of the Orange County Food Bank said they were not able to meet the needs of anyone who wanted a turkey dinner this year.
Wow, the calibration of this is real close. Real close.
They would spend their money on other community needs. Because of the shortage, Food Bank put out an alert asking for turkeys and donations, and people did respond, says Dr. Mark Lowry.
Okay, I gotta put bookends on this video. Luck would have it that I found another one of these at the swap meet, and it was $5. This is the one that was distorted. This is the one I got at the swap meet. The case is in better shape, but it was missing the knobs. I've recapped it. This one looks like maybe it was used by someone who was painting or something. So I might make this the radio. I'm not sure, but we still have the problem where this one is distorted.
As well for breaking news updates at KNX 1070.
It's 7:33. Disneyland wants to make it easier for you to deal with security by only going through it. Today, the Esplanade screening area is being moved to 3 other places around the park, 2 in and around downtown Disney. And Friends parking structure.
There's a bear prowling the foothills, could be injured. I was seen in the Laverne area. There was an off-duty deputy who says he shot at the bear after it charged him and his kids. One person in the
So let's do a quick check and see what the voltage is on the AGC voltages on this one versus this one.
A pan and a...
Okay, this gets even better. The one that's distorted has got the AGC turned up a lot higher, meaning there's a lot less gain than the one that's not distorted. So I don't know. This is where you say, okay, I've spent enough time on it. Let's just either deal with it. I will say this, these are really, really hot radios. They are really sensitive, good working radios.
Eastbound to rejoin the 5, or perhaps you could take Telegraph Road.
If you're looking for something like this, I would actually probably recommend these. They're good. They're actually, this is a good radio. Especially being so ample, so many of them out there, and easy to work on and cheap. Okay, we're out in the middle of nowhere right now, so this is just a test. This is the one that sounded good and was not overloading. That's the volume wide open. That's the camera it's picking up. And now listen to this one. This is the one that was overloading.
We should not neglect to meet together, as is a habit of some. Marine Corps veteran, what?
Fall through 5 in 2 games. The 2016 regular.
And Paul Stadium.
So suddenly you can hear that the one that's overloading when I'm close to KNX is actually probably working properly, and this one is not. So big difference there.
Curtis Martin for the paint.
To promote good health.
All the afternoon.
No contest. This one is deaf compared to this one. But that's the thing, you know, you can't, they both work identical in LA. You can't hear the difference. But you get out here and you can tell which one's working and which one's not.